Jesus freak here, and I've been thinking that right now I'm going to keep it to locally, but I might expand it depending on what I might need and what I might be able to do with this. Anyway, I've started setting aside some of my Bibles if they're, looking like they're in a good condition to use for, evangelism through distribution rather than, keeping them to myself. Now, I'm basically following a certain set of general policies here. The first is that, and you can probably kind of see this already, I'm sticking to text-only King James Bibles, although I do have an edition with read-through references. I don't want the notes causing confusion, and I don't want the issue that, this translation says this, but this translation says that, leading to confusion. So it's all King James and no translator's notes. And the barest bare bones possible is what I'm preferring here. With the exception of special purpose Bibles, like this Oxford Ruby, and like if I had like Royal Rubies I were going to give away or something, I don't want to be giving away any with small type. It's a pocket Bible, it's got to be small. But for the most part, I'm trying to stick to stuff with at least an 8-point. And I'm trying to avoid stuff that's perfect bound. So I want to be given all, Bibles that are they're not expensive, but they'll hold up. The most expensive, I think, of the ones in this stack is this Trinitarian one, which I think was like $27 or something. But the rest are like $10, $15 Bibles. And as such, they're not built to fall apart. They might need a rebind in a few years if they're built, if the covers are cheap and synthetic, but they'll hold up. Now, as far as the text goes, there are some King James Bibles that are kind of out there, where they've tried to Americanize the spelling, or where they've tried to neutralize the difference in name spellings between the Testaments. And I'm considering those a no-go. So, ABS Bibles, pretty much out of the question. My preference is Holman, as I've said, because the Southern Baptist Convention bought them out in 93, so they're a publisher owned by the church, and they respect the King James Version. And they're not, going to get weird with it. And secondarily, Trinitarian Bible Society, local church Bible publishers Church Bible Publishers, Bearing Precious Seed Milford. I'm not familiar with their Bibles. I've never had any. But as I understand, they're built reasonably well. They're cheaper than church and local church. They might be an option. Cambridge, sometimes run into some theological issues with them because they're high church Anglican. So, for example, the dictionaries in some of their Bibles have a very high church Anglican bias and talk about stuff like JEPD. So those are less preferable, but this Cambridge Emerald is a good choice. Nelson and Zondervan. With Zondervan, I don't like their pre 2K editions. They have a bizarre text type that has some peculiar errors. Like there's one in Matthew 26 where they changed a word because it didn't look right or something. I've had a Collins that had the same problem. So although Collins could be still useful, you'd have to look at those. You'd have to check them. This TBS Bible is actually Collins. So Zondervan is with provisos. Nelson, they're reasonably good. You don't want to get gift and award Bibles. Those are typically perfect bound or tiny print, or they have other issues. These are thin lines. They're 8-point. They're the same text block as the minister's Bible, except the pagination is adjusted to the fact that the minister section isn't there. So these are good. About the only time I'd use a font less than 8-point, would be, like I said, a Royal Ruby or something like a Royal Ruby. Something that's designed to be pocket-sized. And as for references, end of verse is okay, end of column is okay, end of page. I don't want to deal with the center column reference type because for the purpose it crowds out the text, and I want the text to speak for itself. I try to avoid editions with book introductions, but I can't get away from ones with publisher introduced section introductions. Pretty much, a lot of these have them. The Nelsons and the Zondi. Looks like this Holman doesn't, which is unusual. Most of the Holmans I've seen do. But, the traditional types, traditional text blocks are the better ones for the purpose. Now, in each of these cases, I stuff in either 2 or 3 tracts. If they don't have a reading plan in them already, I'll stuff one in. That's this. Moments with the Book. Read the Bible in a year. And regardless of whether I put that in or not. And I put in these other tracts. Oops, wrong one. Again, Moments with the Book, and these are specifically the KJV editions. Because they do NKJV versions. Some of their stuff will come in other versions as well. Now, if I wanted to, I could probably get these same tracts in Spanish, put them in Reina Valera Bibles, do the same thing in Spanish. I don't think I'm going to really have much benefit right now of doing a Spanish Bible giveaway because, well, I'm not in contact with anyone who speaks Spanish, although I do know people in town who speak Spanish. I don't personally know them, but I hear people speaking Spanish. So, I know Spanish is spoken around here. Of course, be Reina Valera 60 or maybe a Biblia de las Américas because I actually prefer that translation in Spanish. Now, I haven't decided what I'm going to do with these. I don't intend to keep them. So, but I'm not usually in a situation where I'm able to evangelize anyone, so I'll probably have to ask God what to do, really. And we'll see. Jesus freak out.